I was lucky enough for Amazon to be my first employer out of college, an experience that I'm not sure I will ever fully recover from. You know, there was an old saying among Amazon employees that when you leave the company, you're getting promoted to customer, which might be one of the saddest corporate inside jokes I've ever heard. But I can confidently say, after spending 2 of my best young years in the Amazon, the jungle, the fucking meat grinder, that leaving that company was by far the best and most rewarding promotion of my career.
If there's one thing Amazon.com is about, it's obsessive attention to the customer experience.
Everything we've done and all the success we have is at its root primarily due to the fact that we have put customers first.
Amazon.com, Earth's most customer-centric company. Baked proudly into the company's sacred 12 leadership principles, this mantra of customer centricity perfectly sums up how Amazon came to be so ingrained in our day-to-day lives. I mean, if Amazon shut down tomorrow, I'd be fucked. I wouldn't be able to get my, okay, a lot of things I probably don't need, but all this to say, as a software product, I am fucking obsessed with Amazon. I depend on it, and so do you. Customer centricity is their bread and butter, and guides everything that they do. Amazon has built the most massive, efficient machine of selflessness that this world has ever seen. But unfortunately, there's only so much centricity to go around in this world. And for all the centricity that Amazon allocates to its customers, they allocate significantly less towards its employees. Let's just say that.
I've heard a lot about your desk.
It's a door with 4x4s.
Come on.
What?
I mean, you can afford a better desk than that.
It's a symbol of spending money on things that matter to customers and not spending money on things that don't.
So I worked at Amazon as a software engineer out of school between around 2018 to 2022. I barely made it a couple years, which is pretty good considering the average tenure of an Amazonian. I think it's like a year and a half, a year, maybe not even a year, dude. It's like pretty fucking bad. Now, I'm sure you've heard a lot of stories about this company. It's by far one of the most, if not the most scrutinized big tech company. And so yeah, when I was joining the company, I kind of knew all about these horror stories. Even at my internship, I was talking to some of the full-time guys and they're like, yeah, this kind of sucks. Yeah, I don't know. And I'm 22 and I'm like, okay, well, I mean, you guys make a shitload of money, so you guys must be happy, right? Because that's just how my brain works, because I'm 22. So I was like, okay, let me just like try it, get my foot in the door, get some experience, learn a bunch, and then dip. So yeah, going into it, I knew exactly how polarizing it was. And what's interesting is, about 2 months into the job is when I started to actually live some of these horror stories, such as on-call, micromanagement. Like, I started to experience this stuff pretty quickly into the job. But what I didn't pick up on until about 8 months into the job was just how much employee misery can be shared, streamlined, and scaled across a global enterprise. And this really sank in about 8 months into the job when I toured the Amazon Fulfillment Center, aka the warehouse. So Amazon operates out of these things they call fulfillment centers, and they're really just warehouses. They like to use the term fulfillment center because it sounds a little better. It's a fucking warehouse. And they have this program at the fulfillment centers where they can bring the corporate employees to come do a tour and actually come in and do the job of a fulfillment center worker. So they bring your team in for the day, they teach you about safety, you wear a fucking uniform. So in late 2019, my team participated in this. So we spent the day at an Amazon fulfillment center. I show up and they give me one of these things, one of these safety vests. Damn, that kind of goes hard with the green. Oh shit. Is that a fit? I think that's a fit, man. Anyway, we show up bright and early to this fulfillment center. 8 a.m. We got that shit on. And I'm like, kind of excited. I'm like, yeah, let's fucking go, dude. We're gonna go pack some fucking boxes and it's gonna be a little workout. It was one of those days where you're like drinking the Kool-Aid a little bit, you know? You're like, oh yeah, we're gonna be so centered around customers. Like, I might experience an ego death. Anyway, we get there around 8 a.m. I walk in, I look around, and my first thought is, nobody can compete with this company. Like, this wow, this is just unlike anything I've ever seen. There are literal boxes on conveyor belts like moving at like 50 miles per hour, like I don't know how they pulled this shit off, man. Like, maybe it was the salaries, maybe it was all the smart people they imported from India. Honestly, yeah, it was probably that. But yeah, they pulled off this hyper-automated thing that just definitely explained why you're able to order dog food and obscure kitchen decor while you're taking a shit. And so the first part of this tour is called store. The product gets in the warehouse, fulfillment center. You check it into the system, and then you put it on a shelf. Sounds pretty straightforward, right? But this is not just any other shelf, okay? This is a self-driving shelf that comes to you. And this is not like confidential information. You can see all of this on Google, on the news. Like, this is not trade secret stuff. Everybody knows about this. But when you see it in action, it's like, oh my God, I literally don't have to move. I can literally just stay at this station and just pick up a product, scan it, and then the right shelf to put this product on will come to me. And then when you put it on the shelf will drive away and be like, thanks, bye. They have made it so easy to just start doing work. And this reminded me so much of my job as a software engineer too. Like, they give you all this great tooling, right? They make your job a lot easier. Like, wow, everything's automated and streamlined, and oh, this is so cool. My job is gonna be so much easier. But then I saw the self-driving shelf robots, and I realized maybe it's not always good for your job to become easier, because then you can do more of it. By creating all this automation and process and tooling and fucking self-driving robots, Amazon has created this system that just makes it insanely easy to start contributing. By making your job easier, they have an excuse to ask you to do more of it, which is crazy, dude, right? As a software engineer, we're doing projects at like 3x the speed, dude, and like, it's very dizzying. And if that's how I feel, I'm thinking about how these fucking fulfillment center people feel. Probably not very fulfilled. By the way, I always thought that was the funniest part about calling it a fulfillment center. Like, it is actually probably the least fulfilling place to be. And so you're probably wondering, how does Amazon ensure that everybody is doing so much work at all times? Remember how I mentioned those very fulfilled workers will scan the box before putting it on the shelf? Well, when they scan that box, it actually records that metric and ties it to their name. And not only that, but there are cameras everywhere. These people are being analyzed on metrics like how much time they are not moving. Every team, every process, every single thing done at this company is tied to a metric. When you start tying metrics to people, this is when the employee-employer relationship gets a little sticky, in my opinion. Like, I remember later in the day, we went into a meeting with one of the area managers, you know, basically like a warehouse team lead. Most of these people's jobs is literally to just look at a computer and look at the metrics of every employee as far as where they compare to like average performers for packages pushed per hour or time idle on the job or some toxic ass metric, right? And this guy is like proud of his job, okay? And he's coming up here like, when we see the metrics go down a little bit, you know, we like to go up to the employee and just check in and be like, hey, I noticed that this metric was a little lower than usual. Is there any way that I can support you? And he made it sound really nice, but imagine you're like fucking grinding out here, pushing boxes for like 5 hours, and you're busting your ass, and some motherfucker comes up to you like, hi, I noticed your time idle on the job has, you know, and we're gonna need to, you know, yeah. Is there, any way that I can, support you, you fucking lazy swine? Like, who wants to hear that in the moment? I get that this is kind of the nature with a lot of these blue-collar jobs, I get that, but it really started to remind me a lot of my own experiences as a software engineer. You know, I was very fortunate to have this micromanager who just made my life so wonderful. You know, he would ask me things like, hey, we saw the lines of code go down, Varun, and I just want to understand that better. Okay, because the management team is looking at lines of code per month. I'm like, hold up here. Okay, there's a lot to unpack here. 1, that's the stupidest fucking metric I've ever heard about. 2, why are you telling me what managers are doing behind the scenes? You are terrible at hiding politics from your team. 3, not that much happens in 1 month in corporate, okay? And especially as a software engineer, you're like not always gonna be coding. You're gonna have up months, you're gonna have down months. Why are we having a check-in about this? And then he would also say things about like stack ranking. Oh, Varun, they do rank the engineers, okay? And I want to make sure you're not in that bottom percent because they're going to start asking questions, okay? It's not a punishment, but they will start to ask questions. They always fucking say that, okay? That's Amazon speak for you might get fucking fired, okay? Anyway, I'm at this warehouse. I'm seeing this guy fucking yap about how he holds his team accountable to metrics, and I'm like, okay, this place is like successfully micromanaging thousands of people. Like, I don't think I've ever heard of a company that has successfully built a system of micromanagement across a global enterprise. This is a good company to work at if you want to feel like a number, which I don't know. Some people like a job where you're just kind of like, okay, I take box, I scan box, I put box here, I get 1 point, yay. I take box, I scan box, I put box here, plus 1 point, yay. I take box, I scan box, I put box here, plus 1 point, yay, plus 1 point, yay, plus 1 point, yay. If you like doing that literally or figuratively in the corporate world, I take feature, I cold feature, I ship feature, I take feature, I cold feature, I ship feature, then look no further than the Amazon. And what I found so ironic about working at Amazon is they really like to claim that they are this leadership-driven company, that everybody is a leader, everyone's autonomous, everyone's a leader, everyone can act like a CEO of this company. And it's so ironic because everybody's actually just a fucking bitch. Like, no, it's not very leader-like to literally make every decision based on 12 corporate commandments, okay? This is some culty shit. And you're making important decisions, like even like emotional, personal decisions based on numbers and data. Just because, well, someone told you to? Yeah, that's not very leadership-like. That's very like being a bitch at scale. You know what? I'm gonna request that they add a 13th leadership principle. Be a bitch at scale. At Amazon, we value hard work, being a good team player, but above all, being a bitch. Everybody is more important than me. I have no sense of self-worth or purpose, and everybody is my daddy. Anyway, we get to the part where we're packing the boxes, and this shit was honestly pretty hard. Not because closing a box is hard, like that part's easy. What's hard is doing it fast. There's this leadership principle called bias for action, and they love bringing this one up. This is basically their way of saying, hey, just never not be working like really fucking hard. Like if we catch you, perhaps taking a little bio break, we're gonna have some questions, all right? So we're packing the fucking boxes, and like I'm not moving fast enough, all right? These boxes, they don't come, pre-taped and assembled. Like you have to assemble the box first. So I'm working on this fucking box, and I'm just like struggling, okay? These products are piling up. I'm like, oh shit, like I gotta get my shit together. And I'm like, and then the guy who was giving us the tour, I forgot his name, but he's this like Filipino guy. He comes up to me and he's like, yo bro, I got you. Let me see that. And this guy goes ham. There you go, man. Not too bad. You're too good at this, and I'm just a little concerned. I'm happy you've found a little joy in this. You can do that so fast that this might be your calling, and that's what really concerns me. Amazon's got this crazy bias for action. They move so fucking fast in and out of the warehouse, okay? You are, like I said, working on so many projects at once, all the time. I will never forget one specific moment, okay? I was working on a project. I finished the project. I looked through the Jira board. I find a 1 story point ticket in the backlog. I'm like, okay, let me take this. I tell my manager, hey dude, I'm gonna take this 1 story point task, but it needs to be looked into, so it might take a little longer. I need to talk to this one specific person to figure that out. And he's like, okay Varun, sounds good. And so the next day, about 24 hours later, in our one-on-one, around 3 p.m., I tell him, hey, like, okay, this is gonna take a little longer. I looked into it. It's gonna be about 3 days, all right? And he's like, what? No, this is 1 story point. Why are we finding out now that it's 3? And I'm like, well, because in the ticket it said we needed to look into it, and I looked into it, and it's gonna take longer. And then he's like, why are you finding out right now? And I'm like, I found out like a few hours ago. And he's like, I gave you the task yesterday. Why you didn't tell me yesterday, Varun? And I'm like, what? Like, it was like 3:30 p.m. yesterday. I was switching context from a different project. Like, it takes a little time. And he's like, Varun, next time you have to do that, you go right up to their desk with a notebook and you ask them the question and you write it down like this and then you go back to your desk. You can't be wasting time, okay? And I'm like, why is my corporate manager and a software engineering job where we otherwise have our asses in our seats telling me what to do with my feet, what to bring with me, who to talk to? That's not how this works, okay? That's fucking micromanagement. Not only is that micromanagement, but that is some fucking neurotic behavior. Anyway, as this guy's handing me the box back, I had a flashback to that memory and I'm like, whoa, okay. I'm starting to see some parallels here. Obviously, I'm not gonna say my software engineering job was as bad or physically taxing, but relative to other corporate jobs, this might be one of the most warehouse-like corporate jobs I've ever worked, if that makes sense. Projects and contributions just become so meaningless. You're just literally pushing boxes all day, kind of like you do in the centers of enlightenment. I'm sorry, the fulfillment centers. This company is savage. It stops becoming about doing good work. It just becomes about doing it fast and doing a lot of it. It's like quantity over quality. I just very much disagreed with that. Now you might be wondering, okay, Varun, if it's so bad, how are they convincing so many people to come work there and contribute to all this and keep it going too, right? Because the people of Amazon are keeping this thing going, right? How have they been able to successfully get away with all this? And if there's another thing that Amazon's very good at, it's brainwashing. Like I mentioned, these 12 sacred leadership principles guide everything. Like everything. Everything from what we're gonna do for customers to how we're gonna put out a fire to how I'm gonna treat my employees, how we're gonna evaluate employees, every single thing you could think of. I remember on my first day, I'm checking in and there's two HR guys, okay? There's one HR guy and then there's little HR guy, okay? He's like the new guy and he's like still learning apparently. And so they're checking me in, they're looking for my name on some spreadsheet and he couldn't find my name or something. And then big HR guy's like, oh, it's just go into this tab, it's right there. Little HR guy's like, oh, okay, oh, sorry about that, thanks. And then the big HR guy's like, huh, dive deep. And then little HR guy's like, right. They like really convince you that this is the best way to work, like following these leadership principles, which are insanely arbitrary. But let me tell you what these leadership principles actually do for this company. They give this company a source of truth and a place to point when things go wrong so that they don't have to take any accountability themselves. So if I'm gonna make the decision to fire someone, I can just point to the leadership principles and say, oh, well, you know, he wasn't showing bias for action. You know, he wasn't diving deep, okay? He wasn't balls deep in the customer's asshole. It just allows them to point to something else to avoid accountability, which is not very leadership-like if you ask me. When you get performance reviews, every single piece of feedback is tied to a leadership principle. They'll say, oh, you did dive deep really well, you did frugality really well, and some opportunities for growth are... And you're like, this isn't even about me. This is about you guys. Like, I don't even feel like fully valued as a person here. My own creativity stops being important at some point. That's weird. If I'm working somewhere, I want to be able to bring my own ideas to the table. I want to be able to shake things up and say, hey, let's try doing it differently. Not how things work at Amazon, all right? You're going to use the fucking Quran of Amazon to make every decision, and if you don't, you get pipped. Oh, and speaking of pips, not only is this company great at brainwashing, they have actually gotten people so used to their scaled toxicity, including this whole PIP thing. If you don't know what PIP stands for, it stands for Performance Improvement Plan. It's basically this process of getting employees to leave. It's kind of disguised as this whole like, hey, we're gonna help you improve your performance, but it's really HR's way of telling you to fuck off. There's no good outcome from a PIP. Now, what's so funny is this is such a meme at Amazon. So many people I talk to have the same exact story. It's like, okay, for some petty reason, your manager stops liking you because you didn't jerk off the customer hard enough or something. And then they put you on PIP. They're like, okay, bye-bye, fuck off, goodbye. And then you take medical leave because like, apparently that's a very standard part of this. Like everybody knows if you get PIP'd, oh, well, there's a loophole where you can take medical leave, so you do that. And then after the medical leave, you either quit or you just come back and get fucking fired. Thousands of people experience this like every week at Amazon. It's nuts. It's just this known toxic cycle, this known toxic process at scale. And you just like see this stuff happening around you all the time. I'm just amazed at how this company has successfully brainwashed people into seeing all this fucked up stuff they do and just normalizing it. How did they just like get people? Like these people got, all right? People at this company are either fucking miserable or fucking insane, or maybe both. And you see that at the fucking warehouse. Like the last part of the warehouse we're walking through, I'm sorry, these nirvana centers. I mean enlightenment, I mean fulfillment centers. One of the last things I remember seeing on this tour was the cafeteria. And you know, I'm seeing people on their lunch breaks, you know, their like fucking 4 p.m. lunch break. And these people are just so unhappy. It kind of reminded me of some of the people I met in corporate. Like there were so many people I met where you look down at their badge and they're like, you know, in like decent shape. And then you go up to shake their hand and you're like, oh, you got fatter. Oh shit. And they're just like, huh, just happy to be here at Amazon. And then you see them go to their seat and they're just like stress eating Lay's potato chips and eating fucking McDonald's for lunch every day. And you're like, dude, you're coping. You got fatter because you hate your job. And I'm like, oh shit, I gained a few pounds too. I don't want to be an Amazon fat guy. In order to stay at this company for so long, you have to develop some kind of emotional dissonance, some level of dissociation, and that's not that natural for a lot of people, and it turns into these unhealthy coping mechanisms like eating. And so that day I left this passion dojo, enlightenment temple, fulfillment center, and I felt very uncomfortable. I felt like I was witnessing all the things that I had gone through in corporate, but personified in real life, and actually affecting people who come from way less privileged backgrounds than me. And not only that, but these people are putting their safety at risk, their families at risk. I mean, you've probably heard the stories of people who fucking pee in bottles because they can't take fucking breaks. Anyway, I left that tour very uncomfortable, and about a year later, I finally fucking threw in the towel. After another year of customer centricity, I finally started crying at my desk. There were multiple days towards the end of it where I did not want to start my day. I didn't want to get up. I didn't want to do my job. I felt trapped. I felt demoralized. I felt like this place had just fucking whipped me around for 2 years, and I'm like, I don't even feel like myself anymore. This fucking sucks. I literally lived that headline of someone crying at their desk. Like, that actually happened. Anyway, October of 2020, I quit without a backup plan. I had known a few other Amazonians who were doing the same thing, who were like, yeah, dude, I just don't know who I am anymore, so I just need to go travel and just not be here. So many people go through the same thing, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna do that too. I don't need your fucking money anymore. Yeah, fuck this. This is not worth it. Like, no job is worth waking up and fucking crying at your desk, okay? If that's you, get the fuck out of there. Like figure out your shit later. Just get out of there. Now, I can do a separate video on what quitting was like. Amazing. Quitting without a backup plan, mini retirement, sabbatical, whatever you want to call it. Oh, life-changing stuff. Separate video. But man, the day I quit, I just knew in that moment was one of the most important days in my life. I turned in my shit, I get in my car, I'm on the highway, and I will never forget that feeling. Okay, if you haven't seen Breaking Bad, spoiler alert. If you don't want to see the spoiler, skip to this timestamp, okay? Anyway, when I got in the car and started driving home, I felt like fucking Jesse Pinkman at the end of Breaking Bad. Remember when he's sitting in the car like, ah! So many emotions, like rage and sadness and relief, happiness, anger. He's going through it all. Like that moment, I felt like I was snapping back to reality. I felt like I was waking up from a bad dream, like a bad 2-year dream. I don't care what you say, but that company is systemically fucked up, okay? Systemically toxic, designed to be toxic, and man, I love shopping from them. Oh my god, I mean, I'm telling you, the promotion from worker to customer just never felt sweeter. I actually appreciate this shit a lot more now. But yeah, all things considered, it's systemically a fucked up employer. I don't care what anyone says. I fucking hate when people at Amazon or these other big companies, they have a good experience with the company, and so they just gaslight people that have a bad experience. They're like, oh, Amazon's not a bad employer. I had a really great experience. There's just bad apples. Okay, no, look. If there's tens, if not hundreds of thousands of bad stories, that is a systemically toxic employer. It's fine that you had a good experience and your manager was able to kind of, protect you from all that stuff, but like this place still, like at scale, sucks. And you can't fucking deny that, all right? So if you're an Amazon simp and you had a great experience and you want to like fucking type up a paragraph about how great it is, like go ahead. I invite you to do that. But I just need you to know how stupid you sound when you say that stuff. Places like this have the ability to hijack your thoughts. After you leave a job like this, you start to look back on all the things that you were thinking while on that job, like, maybe I could get promoted to SD3 or principal engineer, or maybe I could make a career here. Oh yeah, this is such a good way of working. Maybe one day if I'm lucky, I could even deep throat Bezos himself. Other companies, they don't work hard, we work hard. Hashtag leadership principles, hashtag LPs. Bless up, all praise to the Most High. I love you, Jeff B. I love you, Big B. Like, these places can really hijack your thoughts and start to, like, mold your own sense of self-worth. You start comparing your own career goals to what's available at the company. You start to view workers how your company views workers. You start to treat people at work how your company treats people. And you don't realize until you leave a place like that how, one, not normal a lot of this stuff is, and two, how incredibly stupid it is to tie your own goals and path in life and sense of self-worth to a company. What the fuck, dude? This is the level of capitalism we are at. Like, someone like me, just this random guy who started working at this tech company, start to feel like, hey, if I'm failing here at Amazon, I'm a failure in real life and in my career. Holy shit, man. If you are stuck in some kind of big tech job, or any job in general where you're feeling like, compared to your peers at this company, or based on what your manager is saying, like you don't feel adequate or something like that, you gotta fucking leave, okay? I don't know if you've got visa troubles, I don't know if you've got bills to pay, but figure something out and get the fuck out of there as soon as you can, because you deserve better. Because once you leave, you're just like, wow, yeah, actually I was just sucking Bezos' tits the whole time. And anytime when I like conformed to all this like shitty shit that Amazon put me through, I look back at those times and I'm like, actually I think I was just using that to justify my own insecurity for working for a place that's so notoriously shitty to its people, and my own fear of change. And look, I know a lot of you are going to watch this, maybe considering joining Amazon, and are like, well, I'm still gonna do it anyway. And you know what? That's fine. I don't blame you, because like I said, I knew a lot of this stuff going into it. I had a bad experience, and all that being said, I'm glad I did it. I'm glad I went through it. Sometimes these extreme experiences, especially at work, can really force you to ask yourself the tough questions. It certainly forced me to ask myself tough questions about like, okay, what am I actually passionate about? How do I actually want to spend my time? These are the questions you should be asking in your 20s. And honestly, I would tell anyone, whatever situation will get you to do that, whether it's some tough burnout job for 2 years like banking or Amazon or consulting or something, or some other kind of like tough character building experience, like you should do that. I think for that alone, this shit was definitely worth it. I remember for a long time afterward, I was so resentful to Amazon, and I still a little bit am, but I would say I'm mostly just grateful for the experience. That shit set me up for life financially, professionally, helped me build character, helped me develop independence, learn how to fight for myself at work. My big takeaways were big tech, bad, software engineering, horrendous, and then prestige and money, actually kind of dope. Working for Amazon made it infinitely easier to get jobs afterward. Like, I literally would get callbacks for interviews within minutes of applying to some jobs. Pretty insane stuff. Prestige does go far. So am I sharing all this with you to convince you not to join big tech or Amazon? No, I'm not sharing it with you to convince you not to go, but I am trying to make sure if you go, you don't feel pressured to stay. Money and prestige, great things, but these are also two very psychologically powerful things, and they can convince you to stay in bad situations longer than you should. And you could just get comfortable with it. You could be that fat guy in the cafeteria just eating the sandwich like, money and prestige really fuck with people, alright? And like, you can't get lost in the sauce. It creates internal expectations, it creates external expectations. I mean, especially if you're brown, okay? I can't even get into that today, but you already know what I'm talking about. And also, just in general, any company that comes with prestige will likely come with a lack of autonomy, a terrible work-life balance, and a dash of cultiness. And in Amazon's case, a lot of cultiness. And I'm here to tell you, if you're stuck in this kind of toxic cycle with a job of any kind, and you feel trapped, and you maybe want to take a leap of faith, but you're not sure, do it, man. Like, fucking do it. Do the fucking risky thing. You are not a fucking coward for quitting. You're not lazy. You're not weird for not wanting this. Anyway, I don't think I'd be where I am today without this whole shitty experience, and I am so much happier that I have now been promoted to customer. I seriously do respect the people who end up staying at a place like Amazon like 5+ years. I mean, some of those people are very smart, very passionate, and you know, just very good at working at a job where pretty much all you do all day is, you know, just kind of, you know, bending over like this and getting fucked. Okay, no, but in all seriousness, if you did stay at a company like that 5+ years, good for you. You found something you like. So yeah, I think I'd like to say thank you, Amazon. Thank you for the money, the prestige, the memories, and of course, the content.